Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today I am joined by the beautiful Katie of the night. Katie, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I am doing very well. I am very excited to have you here. But before we talk about the reason that you are here, Katie, I would like for the people that don't know you to get to know you a little bit. Katie is a YouTuber who primarily talks about movies, a big love of horror, and has a special affinity for the cheap, trash, and cult films. And you can find her on YouTube doing her thing. So, what gave you the drive and the desire to go, you know what? I think that my knowledge of film is great. I think I know what I'm doing. I want to start a YouTube channel and be able to talk about some of these things that I really love and share it with other people in the community.
Well, I actually started my channel not talking about movies, but just talking about whatever I felt like.
Mhm.
But in 2020 is when I really started exploring cinema, and I felt like the need to kind of document my journey. So for me, my channel has been a lot about kind of what do I say? Like documenting my exploration of film.
Yeah.
Um,
And no, go ahead.
and I found that I built the best community once I started really talking about movies. Like that's where I started to really make friends and it really clicked.
And I feel like a lot of us, especially once you get into the horror genre, you find that horror will always have this taboo nature around it because of what horror is. It's scary, it makes you uncomfortable. Some people think it's disgusting, it's bloody, but the people that are involved in it are the sweetest, kindest, most genuine people you could ever hope to meet. So it's always nerve-wracking when you start something like this, but once you start to take off and really meet the people that you were supposed to meet and really gain that community, there's really nothing better. So we talked about how you have like an affinity for the cheap trash cult film stuff like that, but really, do you do movie reviews? Do you do deep dives? What do you do on the channel?
I do reviews and then I do a lot of week monthly recaps, what I watched. And sometimes another thing that I like to do when I have the chance is what I'm calling exploitation exploration. So I'll take 5 exploitation movie recommendations from people and watch them all and then make a video where I just talk about those 5.
Okay. Well, and the best way for you guys to give a recommendation by that is to not only follow Katie of the Night on social media, but also to subscribe to the YouTube channel and give your recommendations. And the best way to do that is by clicking the links right down in the description because I have all of her links right down here. Like I said, make sure that you are subscribing to the YouTube channel. Make sure you are following her on social media so you can become a part of her family. And I want to see what you guys recommend for exploitation exploration. Holy shit, say that 5 times fast. I'm just shocked I got it the first time around. So we know that you do a bunch of different stuff on the channel. You got a bunch of different feathers in the cap, but do you have anything coming up that you can tell us about?
Um, I have a couple things I want to do. I want to do like a comparison of 2 different Jalo movies that are quite similar. Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward and All the Colors of the Dark, directed by
Okay.
the same guy and cast with the same actors. So I want to kind of do like the ultimate showdown, which one is better.
That's awesome. I can't wait. And Giallo has the heart of a lot of our friends, so I'm very excited to see how this goes. So, like I said, the best way for you guys to do that is by subscribing on the YouTube channel. Now, Katie, in order for you to talk about Giallo films, in order for you to talk about, the trash and the cults and the cheap horror films, horror had to start for you somewhere. So now I would like to go back to the past and talk about what got you started in the horror genre, your first horror movie. And Katie, your first horror movie was?
House from 1985.
Oh,
And
never heard of it.
what a
Oh, man.
coincidence.
So I'm sure that all of you that know me know the minute that I got the email saying that House was her first horror movie, my head almost exploded off my body. Um, this is a movie that is so special to me. not only my first horror movie, not only my favorite horror movie, but some of my favorite childhood memories are based around this movie. Me and my family took a vacation to the house, and I cried in front of that house. I was so excited and happy to be there. So, yes, we could talk about this movie all damn day, but not my experiences, however, your experiences. Do you remember about how old you were the first time you had seen it?
I was in fifth grade, so I was either 9 or 10.
Wow. And
Um,
it's funny because that's a very young age to be watching a movie like this. So, do you remember who you were with the first time that you had watched it?
I was at my friend Alex's house. We were having a sleepover, and I guess it came on TV. I think that's how we watched it.
And that's one of those movies that I've never seen a cut for TV version of it because I've always owned it, but still scary enough to where you even a cut for TV version is going to give you those willies when you're watching it. Now, a movie that, like I said, very impactful, a lot of very impactful scenes throughout the movie. Do you remember which scene it was that affected you the most?
Let me just say, I did not have a good time with this movie when I was 10 years old. It is not what got me into horror, or maybe it was like subconsciously, but this was not a good time for me. So the scene I remember is when he opened that closet when the clock struck midnight and that monster leaped out. It
And
it's
that
scary.
it's really scary, I think, too, because like we watch him open it before and nothing happens. And then you hear the grandfather clock strike midnight, and he's like, you know what? Let's try it again. Like you said, you have that big monster that comes out and just brutally attacks Roger Cobb at this moment. And, oh, God, it's so good. Him in a bathrobe trying to cover himself from this giant monster that's attacking him. So we know which scene it was that affected you the most. Obviously, big monster coming out of the closet. 10-year-old little Katie was not a huge fan. But what would you say your favorite scene from House is?
Um, I like the little goofy scenes where he was setting up all the cameras, and at one point he runs down into the front of the house and like puts his arms up and just slides onto the sidewalk. Like those little bits of humor and his interactions with his neighbor are part of like I guess why the movie was so tricky for me, because at times it seemed very welcoming for a
Mm-hmm.
little kid. It felt like a family film sometimes. And then, of course, the monster scenes were terrifying.
Mm-hmm. And I love that scene you're talking about because he does all that, and then he looks over and Harold's right there walking his dog,
Hey, Raj, what you doing?
and he's just like,
So good.
"All right then, okay, I'm gonna get back in now." And one of my favorite moments of the whole movie is when he first meets Harold.
Woman lived here before you was nuts. Biggest bitch under the sun. Just a senile old hag, really. Wouldn't be surprised if someone just got fed up and off her, you know what I mean? She was my aunt. Heart of gold, though. Just a saint, really.
I
Like
love that
that moment to
humor.
me, yes, that is so great, and it lands so well. Um, And like there are a lot of moments of levity throughout this film, and it's funny because as a 10-year-old, just like with me, when I watched it as a young age, if someone called this a horror comedy, I would have thought they were crazy, But now you watch it as an adult, and you really do realize it is a horror comedy. So we do know it has been announced that Sean Cunningham is doing a remake of House. So this is something that's going to be happening. So
Oh my
um,
gosh.
remakes, requel, sequels, it's kind of all the rage. Would you like to see the remake of House when it comes out?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm
See,
down. I
I'm
like, at
not.
least out of curiosity.
Yeah, I'm not anti-remake. I'm not anti anything like that. I literally emailed Sean Cunningham and I was like, dude, I will do anything to be in this film. I'll be a Vietnam guy. I'll be a guy walking in the background. I'll be the guy that walks up during the book signing, like, I like your book. Like, I'll do anything, bro. Please, please let me be a part of this. Um, So we did actually get four House movies. Because it is a part of a franchise. You have to call it a franchise because there are four films in this franchise. Have you seen the other films in the franchise? And if so, which one is your favorite?
I watched House 2 this week because I rewatched House just to make sure it was all in my memory correctly. And then I was like, that was so good. Let me just continue and watch House 2. And I did not enjoy that. It was terrible.
I'm not a fan of it either. I mean, like it's for what it is. I think where House is a horror comedy, House 2 is a comedy horror. But I will say House 4 brings Roger back for like 8 seconds. So if you
Oh,
guys have ever seen it, um, spoiler alert, it doesn't end well for him. It's
oh.
quite sad. But with House, it's just one of these movies that I'm so glad that I found someone else that has an appreciation for what this movie did, and it's everything. It has a love story, it's a lost child story, it's a horror movie, it's a comedy, it's a war movie. It's got a good twist to it when you find out what's happening at the end of the movie. And I think the opening scene is one of the best jump scares of all time. That's the first jump scare that I can remember in my life. So this movie has a little bit of everything. Now, we talked about how House is your first horror movie and what that movie means to you. But now for a second, I want to throw you a little bit of a curveball here, Katie. My little buddy Ghostface is here, and he has a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie, Katie? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
I don't know.
See, and it's funny, guys. I've said this before on the podcast, but I always send people kind of a list of questions I'll ask if they want them or not. And I never include this question because I don't want people to think about it. I want to off the seat of your pants, right away. How about this? You're on a 3-hour plane ride and you get to take one horror movie with you on this 3-hour plane ride. What's the movie you would take to watch on your plane ride?
Okay. I mean, I guess I have a real answer if my rewatch count counts for anything. And that movie is Full Moon's Baby Oopsie, which is a
Ooh,
spin-off of Demonic Toys.
that's a deep cut right there.
I've watched Baby Oopsie like 26 times.
And it's one of those movies. Like I'm a big Full Moon fan as well. And when they first started the streaming service, the Full Moon streaming service, if you signed up for the streaming service, you were able to get the box set of Puppet Master just for signing up. So we got the Blu-rays of Puppet Master, and Baby Oopsie is one of those ones you just stumble across and you're like, this is the craziest, weirdest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. But it's a lot of fun too.
It's better than you think it's going to be. And that's at the very least, that's what people come back and tell me is like, oh, that actually wasn't that bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, if you go into a horror movie looking for an Academy Award-winning movie, especially a movie called Baby Oopsie, you're probably going to be disappointed. But if you're going in to just sit down, shut your brain off, and have a good time watching a movie, movies like that, they're the perfect movie to watch because you're going to have fun, you're going to get some laughs, you're going to get some startles. It's a perfect way to just sit and hang out and have fun. So
It's a comfort movie for sure. It's
yeah. Let's see,
cozy.
for me, it was Shaun of the Dead. Like Shaun of the Dead's one of those movies that like I used to just put on when I went to bed, and I would just let it play on repeat all night, like just listening to that movie. And it's one of those movies that it's still to this day, if it's on, I'll just be like, oh yeah, let's do this.
You have my attention.
So I really have had an amazing time talking about your first horror movie and your favorite horror movie. But before I let you go, Katie, we always bounce back to the same question. We're going to go back to House. And what we're going to do here is rank this movie on a skull count. Now, we're not ranking House on acting, production, score, direction. We're not being critics. What we're doing is strictly ranking this movie on how much it affected you on your first viewing. So 0 skulls being not effective, 5 being extremely effective. You can use half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. Katie, what would your ranking of House be?
I think I would just go ahead and say 5 because the movie, it scared me so much that when I came home from the sleepover, I was afraid to go to sleep. And I ended up confessing to my mother that I had watched this movie, which I was not allowed to watch stuff like that. But I was
Right.
so scared. I felt like I had to confide in her, which says a lot, I guess, for how affected I was.
Right. And like you said, watching it at a sleepover and then you come home, you're like, I don't ever want to go in a pool again.
And I can't open my closet ever again.
Right. And there's so many moments in this movie that, you know, as adults, you look back on and you're like, yeah, it's goofy as hell. But like the fish on the wall, you know, like that's when that fish starts coming alive. As a kid, that's one of those moments where I had to like hide my eyes every time just because
It's
and then he
scary.
shoots it and it gives out that like it's hurt. And you're just like, oh, as a kid, especially, you're like the garden tools that come to life.
Mhm.
You know, like you're watching this like as an adult, and you're like, wow, this is so goofy. But as a kid, that was scary. Like I have a shovel outside, I have an axe outside. What if that tried to attack me? So I totally get where you're coming from. Where as a kid watching this, it was terrifying. These are all things in our house, our closet. You know, everybody had like some type of
Mm.
taxidermy thing, whatever, you know, in their house or at a family member's house or something. So all very effective. And I still think it's really funny. One thing that, you know, upon watching as an adult, how the neighbor Tanya just goes and like swims in his pool, you know, and she's like, oh, hey, stranger I've never met. Here's my child. Babysit him. You guys will have fun.
So weird. She is so pretty though.
She is
Oh my gosh.
absolutely gorgeous. Um, so again, I know I said it at the beginning, guys, but we are at the end of the third act. The credits are about to roll and the curtain's about to drop. But before that happens, make sure you are following Katie on social media. Make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channel so you can become a part of that family as well. Katie, please don't go anywhere. I have a couple more questions for you. Everyone else, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It helps to build the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Our links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.